Good day, brothers and sisters. Wisdom at Dawn, episode 397. Making offerings with reverence, a limited understanding. In the following verse, in our daily living, we observe people, matters, and objects. Everything that we see or hear is a conditioned phenomenon. As long as we can see or hear something, it has a form and appearance. Master says, in response to conditioned phenomena, our minds can create blessed karma. Through the workings of our body and mind, we can make offerings out of reverence. So if our mindset is joyful and wholesome, then we will see everything as something good. Then we will seize the moment to do good deeds and create blessed karma. When we hear unkind words, if we have a pure heart, we can shift our perspective and still eliminate our afflictions and develop wisdom instead. And this is how the Dharma brings understanding. In our daily living, if we are understanding and accommodating, our minds will always be creating blessed karma. Even if people see the false as true or the true as false, we can bring harmony to them. And even those who do not fully understand have an opportunity to resolve their issues. And all this depends on our minds. Each of us engage in the spiritual practice. So if we can take good care of our minds, then we can harmoniously deal with matters, people, and objects. Then everything we do will create blessing. Even if people have ulterior motives when they speak with us, they may shift back to a wholesome mindset. If our bodies and mind always abide in the Dharma, we can truly change people's minds. This is also known as turning the Dharma wheel. Negative things can turn into positive. All of this is created by our body and mind. So we need to exercise reverence and make offerings out of genuine sincerity. Our offerings need not to be in material form. They can come from our hearts, through our minds and actions. This kind of offering is supreme and unsurpassed. The principles of absolute truth must always be present in our inner training ground so that we can apply them in the world at all times. And Master says that is the most unsurpassed and precious offering. Now previously we discussed people such as these. They are those who erect the stupas, build temples and sculpt statues with reverence in order to spread the Buddha Dharma. And the Buddha had also repeatedly encouraged this. For the sake of sentient beings in the era of Dharma decay, these images were created. Through tangible forms, intangible principles can penetrate people's minds. During the construction of the Jingzi abode, many people contributed their expertise and served wholeheartedly. They formed their aspirations and devoted themselves and nurtured their sense of reverence throughout this period. In the post-921 earthquake, Tzu Chi has also transformed many people through the construction projects such as Project Hope. Many volunteers from across Taiwan dedicated themselves to this project, and those who joined Tzu Chi that year to this day remain very diligent bodhisattvas. Therefore, through tangible actions, people experience the joy of virtuous Dharma, and after taking the Dharma to heart, they diligently practiced. Through this example, we can understand that as long as there are tangible objects, as long as people create them and the environment sustains them, bodhisattvas can transform sentient beings. And the transformed ones will help those who are transforming, who will also help those who are not yet transformed. When this cycle continues endlessly, we can transform and liberate countless sentient beings. Since sentient beings are attached to happiness, when they see a dignified practice center, they naturally would feel that they must be reverent and pay respect. The Buddha's image, along with incense and flowers, automatically create the conditions for people to form an attachment to the happiness that is connected to this environment, which they also develop a sense of reverence. And this is how sentient beings are attached to happiness. And this is how the Buddha taught them by following their wishes and likings. The Buddha taught them to adorn stupas, temples, and precious images. But everyone already intrinsically has the Buddha nature within. There is already a jeweled stupa, a magnificent temple, or a dignified spiritual training ground in their hearts. So why do we need to erect stupas or build temples in the world outside? Because we still have attachments to things. Now we think only someone sitting in a temple can teach the Dharma, or we think the Buddha is only found at certain locations. So the Buddha adapted to our way of thinking or our preferences, knowing that there are many ways which we are inclined to seek. And this is why we have these images, so that we can reverently make offerings with incense or flowers. In the next verse, they could cause others to make music with drums, horns, or conches, pipes, flutes, lutes, or bamboo, lyres, guitars, cymbals, or brass gongs. So this means apart from structures, beautiful music or sounds can also fill us with a sense of spiritual refinement. For example, in Tibet, they use very long horns that they sound from the top of the mountains. And when everyone at the bottom of the mountain hears this, they would gather and pay respect to the Buddha. Various musical instruments played with utmost reverence is also a form of offering. So people can be inspired by tangible objects such as stupas, temples, Buddha images, or even sounds, and so on. All this allows us to give rise to reverence. In particular, Master says, when we sing hymns, we must sing them loudly, because not only are we making offerings with our body, we are also making offerings with our voice, an offering of sound. When people are depressed, when we share a good teaching with them in a pleasant tone, this is also a type of offering, a way to help people. So when we chant sutras, if our chanting is beautiful and harmonious, people's minds will naturally become calm. But if we cannot chant in harmony with others, the Dharma doesn't enter our hearts either. So the best offering that we can make, Master says, is the threefold karma, or harmony of our body, speech, and mind. And this is what we need to do every day. Sometimes chants are directed to the unseen realms of ghosts and spirits. If we can articulate the sutras properly and reverently, that means we can also share the Dharma with those in the invisible realm. Thus, sutra recitation must be done in harmony and in unison, like our minds are one. The Dharma as water musical adaptation was a very good example of how music, movements, and sutras are clearly presented to resonate with ordinary people's mind and inspire them. So that means we can use various methods to make offerings. Again, it should come from a mind of utmost reverence. Thus, reverence requires the convergence of three things, and they are the unison of body, mind, and speech, or the threefold karma. So in summary, when we learn the Buddha's way, we create external images and conditioned phenomenon with our minds. What we create depends on our minds. So if we are focused, we automatically express genuine sincerity that can move people. And since we can move people, we can also move the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And this is all due to our offerings of deep reverence. So everyone, Master says, when we make offerings of reverence, we use external appearances to evoke genuine reverence in our minds. In fact, every kind of religion has these representations and images, and these external appearances can be useful to manifest our internal reverence. So therefore, we must always be mindful. 感恩 for listening in, brothers and sisters. May wisdom and inspiration be with all always.